According to a 2021 State of the Birds report, birds are declining at alarming rates. Preserving habitat is the key because habitat loss is the #1 cause for the loss of birds.
The greater Houston area is stopover habitat for migrants that are coming both up north in spring to nest and then back to their wintering grounds in the fall. I think that Houston Audubon is doing an incredible job saving habitat along the coast and also inland.
Houston Audubon created the Bird Friendly Communities program as our urban conservation initiative, specifically to work with partners like business, citizens, communities, other conservation organizations to restore our landscapes, to create safer spaces for birds in our urban areas, as well as to engage more people, more communities in birding as well as bird conservation.
What Houston Audubon does is showcasing this incredible phenomenon of migration through the Houston area and along the flyway.
All of us can take steps to create more bird-friendly habitat, whether we live in an apartment and we can just open a window and put a little bird feeder and stick it on the outside, or whether we have a beautiful sprawling yard and we do native planting. You can volunteer, you can teach others about what we have around us, and all of that starts with just being curious.
More and more people are getting into native plants. Thank God for the native plant nursery at Edith L. Moore.
Houston Audubon's mission, of course, is conservation of birds, education, setting up all these different places for people to go and learn about birds. High Island, for example, it brings birders in from all over the country.
Cin-Ty is a consummate champion for birds. Just as an everyday person promoting and advocating and protecting birds. Cin-Ty is actually a geologist by profession, but you would never know that. He's so involved and engaged because he loves people and he loves the environment, he loves nature.
Sometimes I'll be on a bird walk with Cin-Ty and we'll get distracted by a rock, or we'll get distracted by an insect.
Just there's a mourning warbler calling there. What was the question again? I got distracted, which is common.
Cin-Ty is the kindest, most knowledgeable birder I know, and oh, his ears. There can be a speck above us and he can identify the bird.
And he has been a force behind the development of the Harris Gully and creating more habitat for birds.
He really sees the potential for habitat restoration even in urban areas, and Harris Gully is an incredible example of that at Rice. Here we are in the middle of the 4th largest city in the country, and there's over 230 or 40 species of birds.
During COVID, we got really bored, so we started recording the night skies, pointing microphones to the sky. During the day, when the birds come down to rest, many of them can be quite secretive, but in the night they're flying and they're calling. And a good example is in one night we might get 1,000 Swainson's thrushes in the spring, not the fall. And then in the day here you might report 5, but 1,000 went over.
He really shares his knowledge with everyone and invites everyone and is enthusiastic about having everyone take part in learning more about birds. He really spreads his excitement about nature and conservation.
Audubon has expanded a lot in its educational programs, particularly taking birds to lower income parts of the city, and I think that's very important.
Cin-Ty embodies what I think an educator is. Cin-Ty cares about his community, he cares about his environment, he cares about his family. His enthusiasm is infectious.
I am so grateful for the work Houston Audubon does and for people like Cin-Ty Lee.
Because Houston is a big city and it's really still growing, I think the biggest challenge is to preserve habitat, and Houston Audubon is really in the forefront, I think, of protecting habitat here in the greater Houston area. Many thanks from all the birders who live here and all the birders who come here from around the world.
It's like a ripple, and if we all work together within that ripple, then we can really make positive change for birds and the environments that support birds.